In the spring of 2022, 20-year-old Iryna Zarutska navigated a city transformed by war. She'd grown up in Kiev with a vivid imagination and creative spirit, earning a degree in art and restoration while sculpting, painting, and designing clothes that reflected her inner vibrancy. She loved animals, often caring for neighbors' pets, and dreamed of becoming a veterinary assistant. Yet as Russian bombs echoed across the skyline and sirens became daily companions, Kiev no longer felt safe. One evening, hearing explosions shaking buildings and sensing the terror her loved ones faced, Iryna made a decision that would forever alter her life. Underneath war's relentless threat, she and her family fled to the United States in 2022, seeking security and a future that could honor her talents and resilience. She arrived in Charlotte, North Carolina, where she began studying English at community college, worked long shifts at a pizzeria, and poured her energy into adapting to a new world. She lived on humanitarian visa, hoping for citizenship someday. In her new community, those who met her spoke of her warmth and determination. She shared her art generously, gifting friends with sculptures and bold, eclectic designs that mirrored her hopeful spirit. She looked after pets, studied hard, and maintained a gentle optimism even as she carried the haunting memory of air raids and gone friends. Then came the night of August 22nd, 2025. Iryna boarded Charlotte's Blue Line light rail after work. Earlier that evening, she had messaged her mother, a small gesture of connection she thought unremarkable. But 4 minutes into her ride, a man named DeCarlos Brown Jr., a 34-year-old with a long criminal history and severe mental health struggles, stood behind her and without warning took out a knife and stabbed her multiple times, one blow to the neck fatally wounding her. She collapsed. He calmly exited. Surveillance footage captured the horror. First responders pronounced her dead at the scene. The attack was both shocking in its brutality and chilling in its randomness. According to investigators, she had no connection to Brown. The murder appeared entirely unprovoked, underscoring concerns about public transit safety and the growing number of violent incidents across U.S. cities. Witnesses described a calm but menacing demeanor from Brown, who reportedly exited the train quietly, disappearing into the night before being tracked down through an extensive manhunt. Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department, CMPD, quickly released surveillance stills of the suspect, triggering a citywide search. Brown was located less than 12 hours later in an abandoned warehouse near uptown Charlotte, thanks to community tips. Officers reported that he carried the same knife used in the attack. His arrest record revealed a disturbing pattern of escalating violence, including charges for assault with a deadly weapon and previous incidents involving threats against strangers. Court records showed he had cycled in and out of prison, often released due to overcrowding or bail reform policies. DeCarlos Brown Jr. had a history of violent offenses, including prior arrests for assault, theft, and threatening behavior. Despite this, he was living in the community with minimal supervision and had previously been released on bail for charges. Police captured him shortly after. He was charged with first-degree murder and faces federal charges because the killing occurred on a public transportation system. The city recoiled in shock. Iryna's family, still reeling from the traumas of war and now unimaginable grief, issued a plea. Don't share the video. They demanded justice and stronger safety measures on public transit. They described her as kind, creative, and hardworking. Her father, forced to remain in Ukraine due to wartime restrictions, could not attend her funeral. The sorrow was boundless. Vigils for Iryna were held across Charlotte and in Ukrainian communities worldwide. Friends painted portraits of her smiling face, adorned with sunflowers, the national flower of Ukraine and a symbol of resilience. Ukrainian community centers in North Carolina organized memorial events, bringing together refugees who had fled similar horrors of war, only to feel unsafe again in their new home. On social media, #JusticeForIryna trended globally. Strangers from around the world shared her artwork, filling feeds with images of her vibrant paintings and sculptures. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky issued a statement honoring her bravery, saying, "She was a daughter of Ukraine, a light of hope for her family, and a victim of senseless cruelty. Her memory is a call for unity and protection for all who flee war." At the national level, President Donald Trump weighed in emotionally.
23-year-old woman who came here from Ukraine met her bloody end on a public train. And here's a picture of it. A beautiful young girl that never had problems in life, with a magnificent future in this country. And now she's dead.
Labeling the attack an example of unchecked danger, he said, "There are evil people, and we have to confront that."
She was slaughtered by a deranged monster who was roaming free after 14 prior arrests. We cannot allow a depraved criminal element of violent repeat offenders to continue spreading destruction and death throughout our country.
He argued that violent repeat offenders were enabled by lenient policies like cashless bail. In a passion-fueled statement, he declared, "When we have horrible murders, we have to take horrible actions," calling for harsher punishments, including the death penalty, and deploying National Guard forces to reinforce public safety.
We have to respond with force and strength. We have to be vicious just like they are. It's the only thing they understand.
The crime also prompted political debate at the highest levels. President Trump's comments on crime led to renewed calls for stricter bail policies, while others advocated for preventive mental health care. Congressional hearings were proposed to examine security failures on mass transit and rising random violence in cities. Meanwhile, philanthropists responded with compassion. Elon Musk pledged $1 million toward murals honoring Iryna in cities like Charlotte, New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles. Artistic tributes born from tragedy meant to spark reflection and reform. Musk's pledge sparked national interest, with artists from around the world volunteering to contribute. Ukrainian American creators emphasized that Iryna's story symbolized not just a personal tragedy, but a broader narrative about refugees seeking safety. In Charlotte, a memorial service drew hundreds, including city leaders, Ukrainian refugees, and ordinary residents. Candles lit up the Blue Line station where she died, transforming it into a makeshift shrine. A small sculpture she had made, a dove perched on a branch, was placed at the site, becoming a symbol of peace and her lasting legacy. Charlotte officials faced criticism for security lapses on the city's light rail system. At the time of the attack, there were no security guards on the train, and riders relied solely on cameras for protection. In response, the Charlotte Area Transit System, CATS, pledged to hire armed officers for every train, install panic buttons, and increase lighting and security patrols at stations. For Iryna's grieving family, these reforms were bittersweet. Her mother described her daughter as a soul who carried sunshine into every room. The legal process against Brown is expected to be lengthy. Prosecutors announced their intention to seek the death penalty, citing the heinous and premeditated nature of the crime. Federal prosecutors also filed charges under laws that treat murders on public transportation as acts of terrorism, reflecting growing concern about random violence on trains and buses. For many, Iryna's death became a turning point in discussions about safety for refugees and immigrants. Community leaders pointed out that she had survived the Russian invasion, only to be killed in a country she believed would protect her. Advocacy groups demanded improved resources for refugee families and survivors of trauma, emphasizing that true safety involves both physical security and emotional healing. Though she is gone, her story continues to spread worldwide. Artists are organizing exhibitions of her work, and charities are raising funds in her name to help animals and refugees, two causes close to her heart. Her memory lives not only in her art, but in the reforms her tragedy has inspired. In the end, Iryna's story is one of unwavering light in the face of darkness, of a young woman who escaped war only to be struck by violence in her supposed sanctuary. Her life, her art, and her dreams resonate now more than ever. Iryna Zarutska's life was full of hope, creativity, and courage. She survived unimaginable challenges and built a new life in the U.S., inspiring everyone around her. Her tragic death is a heartbreaking reminder that safety is never guaranteed, and that we must do more to protect one another. Her story calls us to action. Stand up for justice, support our communities, and honor the lives of those taken too soon. Though she's gone, her spirit lives on through her art, her kindness, and the impact of her life. In memory of Iryna Zarutska, 2002 to 2025, may her courage and story inspire change.